Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name is Trent. Jason and I recently had the chance to sit down with Derek Sanders and Stacy Lane, the drummer and lead guitarist for the band Severmind. We get into a great discussion about the past and where they're at currently and where they're looking to go in the future. We talk about their previous work as well as a ton of other topics. We'll get to all that here in a minute. Before we do, I want to let you know to check these guys out online. You can find them on Facebook. It's just Severmind, all one word. Search for them on Reverb Nation. They've got all their music up there. You can also buy their music. Hit them up at a show for a CD. Buy the music online. Do whatever you can to support great music like this. You can find us online at thethunderunderground.com. We've got links to all our social medias up there, as well as all the recent and previous podcasts that we've done. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. We've also got a YouTube channel now. We post companion playlists for every episode we do. So if you're listening to this episode, get on there, find episode 11's companion playlist, and it'll have a few videos from Severmind, as well as some of their previous work, and as well as all the music that we talk about from other bands. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. We're joined now by Stacy Lane and Derek Sanders from the band Severmind. How you guys doing?
All right, man.
Good.
How you doing?
Good. You guys just celebrated 10 years, right?
Yeah. Actually, just hit that milestone. Started in 2005 as a three-piece. Finally got a bass player. A little bit later, Chris came on board and started writing with Heath in 2005. So yeah, 10
Cool.
years. I can't believe it.
So it's the same four guys?
No.
Or
We started out with a guy that I've known since I was 4 years old. Stace knows him. He bowed out a few years back. Stace's been with us 3.5 years.
Yeah, 3.5
That's
years.
gone
Yeah.
by quickly too.
Yep.
Right on.
Time flies.
Yeah. It's gone by really fast. So.
Definitely. And this, the newest CD, when did that come out?
September was the release date.
Okay.
The actual official CD release was September of 2014. So.
Right on. And where'd you record that at? It sounds great.
Well, we actually
Good.
did that at Geo Studios here in Tulsa, which
Okay.
is kind of unknown as far as studios go. But it was we took our time and did it at our own
Yeah.
pace, and we enjoyed it.
Cool.
Having the time to put into it, because usually you go in and you're so slammed with trying to get things done in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
There was a lot of late night recording. I mean, the families have gone to bed, so let's start recording at 10 and quit at 4 in the morning, and so
There you go.
that was probably the best, least stressful way for us to do that.
Whatever
Yeah.
works.
Yep.
We enjoyed it.
Now, is it you guys all write stuff, or is it just like one main guy that comes off the bulk of it, or? how
It's
does
a
it-
democratic process
Really?
across the board. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
cool.
Heath will bring riffs to practice. Stace has got riffs. Chris has ideas. I've got beats, and then we all just kind of
There you go.
write it and decide who's going to do what to whose dog for how many jelly beans, and it all comes out on the other side.
Yes.
I mean, and you know, we're all really good about, obviously, we get to a certain point with an idea and it doesn't kind of go anywhere, and somebody will kind of take that bull by the horns and say, okay, well, let me get what I can get out of this for us, and then we
Yeah.
kind of massage it a little bit.
Nice.
One of us will kind of get it there and then come back and say, okay, I kind of got this, and then we so it's, I mean, it's, I think we all kind of,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and one thing, when Stace came on board, we had songs that were half written that we actually took apart, dismantled completely, and then he had some ideas that we worked in, and
Yeah.
then Dying Dream was the first tune that you came in and said, I've got this riff, and we all worked as a four-man unit. So a lot of it was already kind of written piecemeal, but it was still in that transitional,
Mhm.
we're not sure
Yeah.
if this is going to be solid, as a
Yeah.
tune. And then Stace came in and kind of breathed new life into it all. And
Yes.
some of it we hadn't recorded. We'd been written 3 years. And then he came in and kind of made it new. So it was nice to have it.
So basically, they had a lot of Christmas trees, and I came in and put a lot of decorations on them.
Sometimes that's what it takes, you know. If you've got something, and then somebody else can come in and do something to it, and you see it in a whole new way. And
it made us.
awesome.
It gave me like a whole new lease
Yeah.
on some of the tunes that we'd been playing so long. I was like, I'm sick of this song, and he came in and it was like, whoa, man, did you hear what that? I mean, it was a whole new ball game, a whole new way of listening to the tune.
Cool.
So yeah, that's really cool.
Were any of them the same? Oh, sorry.
No,
any
go
of the
ahead.
same songs from you had an EP like 2010, right? Around that time?
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I guess it was 2010. We wrote a 4-song. That was with a different lineup.
Right.
Scott Jones from Caroline Spine was playing bass for us at the time, and we went in and recorded at Yellow Dog Studios. And really, it was a matter of just getting in there and getting the tunes recorded because we'd been playing those for so long. So we just had to pull the trigger and go in and do something. The offer was made to go in and do it. I'm not ever going to turn down time in the studio. I love it. That's my favorite part of the whole thing, is writing and recording. So
Yeah.
We still play one song off that disc, don't we? Now?
yeah, The Last Day is
so we'll
one of
do
the
throw
tunes.
that one in every now and then. So
Okay.
Cool. Right on. Do you guys have like a certain amount of times each week you practice, or just if I get gigs coming up?
Man, if we're lucky, yeah. I mean, we try to do a 3-hour practice, but it's usually about 2 hours before the wives start letting us know it's time to come home.
Yeah, no
Put our toys away.
we're definitely kind of, well, to be honest, we kind of, when I joined the band, we rehearsed a lot. I mean, getting myself up to speed, I had a lot of stuff to learn, and I was coming back into playing this style of music. I've been doing something completely different, and so I had to not only learn the stuff they had been working on, but then I also kind of had to readjust my guitar playing to that style, and so we rehearsed quite a bit actually. And once we started playing gigs, then and got a little momentum built up, then obviously your gig to practice ratio starts to shift because you're starting to line up shows, and so those opportunities to rehearse diminish because you're playing gigs.
Right.
And that's really kind of where we ended up at, which is not a bad thing. I'm not complaining, but it certainly impacted the amount that we've been able to rehearse and all that kind of stuff.
And Stace had kind of a crash course in brain surgery when he first came on board, because I don't know how long it was after you came on board. We were like, hey, your first gig with you is going to be opening for THC at the Canes, and here we go.
Yeah.
So, and Stace just nailed it. We've got the video from all of it. And
Really?
It's great footage.
So how long was it till you're like, oh crap, I got to do
I
this?
think it was like 2 months, 3 months.
Oh, wow.
before
Yeah.
You had, I mean, it was. We had maybe 7 or 8 practices solid before we really had to go fly out there and say, here's the.
Say we're going to do this.
I think we learned.
Yeah.
I think it was 6 or 7 tunes we did at that show, and
Yeah.
you had them down to the point of this is as good as it's going to. What do you do? The show is next weekend.
Yeah.
You've
Right.
got one more rehearsal, so here's your shot at learning what you need to learn. And
There's something to be said by trial by fire. I mean, we threw us out there and made us go do that stuff together, and then I think really once we did that show as a unit, it kind of got us out of the, are we ready? Are we ready? It put us into the we need to.
yeah, you got a deadline. Here's your target.
Right, we're
you
doing
hit it or
this,
miss
so.
it.
Yeah,
we hit
no
it,
kidding.
so that was good.
Cool.
But
good
like I
thing.
said, I've known Stace since I was 14, so he was my first guitarist. We were in Asylum together.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
and that was
Yeah, I remember that name.
way
For sure.
back there.
Yeah.
And so when James left, kind of coming full circle to the question you asked earlier about, our personnel. The only person I knew of that could replace James, or that I would even want to work with in that capacity and would have the chops, was Stace. And so I called him, and he said, yeah, let's talk about it. And we got together and talked about it, and it came to fruition. So
Cool.
glad we did it. Glad I
Yep.
called him.
For sure. It definitely worked out.
What were you doing at that point a few years ago?
Well, since '97 I had been playing with, doing cover stuff in casinos and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
With the Groove Pilots?
with the Groove
right?
Pilots, yeah. So and I still will pick that up occasionally and do that a few times a year. But so so really I had not played. I'd come from, Asylum and Bunnies of Doom, which were, metal and, punk, metal, funk, whatchamacallit, mixture of stuff, and definitely original music, and definitely, definitely some 80s shred and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd switched over and done the, the cover deal and played, I'd been playing in the casinos and stuff for quite a while. And then I had to switch over back to this, which was where, this is where my heart is and all that stuff, and writing original music and playing this style of music is where my heart is. But I had not been doing that, and I'd been having fun. I'm not saying I wasn't having a good time doing the pilots, and we have a great time, but I definitely had to switch gears as far as getting back into. It's one thing to play Brown Eye Grill; it's another thing to play. It's a different thing. So
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Brown Eyed Girl. Yes.
You're still with Groove Pilots? I mean, I saw you guys still playing shows.
We've got a few things that we'll do, a couple 2-3 times a year.
Okay.
So, but that's really it, and I try to just work that in around all of our Severmind stuff. So
cool. So let's get this question out of the way, because I've heard this a few times. Do you have a Rocklahoma mud story?
Oh yeah,
Everybody seems to have one this year.
I mean, other than video footage, we have photographic evidence. At the last one, Rocklahoma Mud is what we were calling it. I've heard Mudlahoma, but I thought our name was a little better, Rocklahoma. But we played that Thursday night, awesome show.
Yeah, that was
just
that's the one we saw. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a blast. The crowd was nice
crowd,
and
it was a good night for sure.
Impressive. But we got through and loaded out, and I guess you'd say dug out, literally. We got the van stuck out in the field there behind the Axis tent, and if it wasn't for Noah, our bass player's son wanted to get the hell out of there and go home. It was 3:45, I think, in the morning, and we were out there stealing shovels full of gravel from the walkways, and we're talking about getting plywood. Did we end up taking some plywood? I think.
Yeah, we ended up. I mean, basically, we ended up taking. Besides, these guys dug out on each side of the back tires, because it's a 2-ton van we're talking about. So, and it was loaded down. I mean, we had stuff in other vehicles, but this is the one that this was doing the heavy lifting, and we dug out on both sides of the back tires, and then. Yeah, our bass players, kids, those guys went and young backs. They went and loaded up shovels full of gravel from the roads.
It was a 50-yard walk over there to where they were getting the gravel and back.
Bringing it back, filling up the holes all around the tires, and then we had the 2x4s or whatever in there, and we finally got the thing out of there. Because our alternative was to wait till 8 in the morning when the tractors would come back, and we were like. I mean, if
we were pretty buzzed by then too. I was ready to go lay down.
Yeah, no kidding. I bet.
let's get. So we got out of that hole, and then I mean, it was just I think I dropped you off, and then I got home, and literally the sun was coming up, and I was like, man, this is rough. This is rough right here.
I'm sure there's still mud somewhere on my gear up there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I won't clean it off though. That's a badge of honor to me.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm sure it was worth all that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I would do it again. That was totally cool. I never thought. For a second, I never thought. Oh man, I was just like, this is what we do.
Yeah, and when I say we were stuck, I mean we were buried up to the axle. I mean, it wasn't just like the tire was barely in there. It was half the tire was gone on both sides, and we were.
Dude, there was RVs getting all the way up to the and they were tilting. It was insane.
Yeah, that was a monsoon nuts. Come through, man. And we missed it, the brunt of it. I mean, we were supposed to go back Saturday night.
Yeah.
Play 3 o'clock Sunday morning, and they called us or sent a message and said, "Hey, man, our sound guy left. We're not doing any more shows."
Wow.
And I was happy to stay here, and because if it really got bad, I'd rather be. I'm sure all of us would rather be here to protect our families at home than out there getting $10,000 worth of gear rained on.
Yeah, that was definitely always a concern. I mean, you knew with the Thursday night deal we were good, but Friday, that Saturday night I wasn't sure what the circumstance was going to be when we got out there. So I didn't want to. As much as you want to do that, you don't want to expose your gear to.
Well, or yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you
to
never
be-
know what's coming through, man.
to be
Tornadoes out in the
ruined,
middle of a
so.
field in Pryor. There's
Yeah,
really no
no
place
kidding.
to run, man. You're just screwed.
Yeah, yeah. It was. We were out there for the whole thing, and it got nuts.
Yeah.
It got wet and soupy.
Wet and soupy. I
Yeah.
bet.
We were pretty lucky. Our campsite was just muddy, but it wasn't like a pit or
Right. A
water
quagmire.
flowing through
Yeah.
like some of the people's was.
Oh, I'm
It
sure
was-
that. I wonder how many shoes are still out there in the middle of that
Right.
field.
Oh,
People
God,
got them
no
sucked
kidding.
off their feet.
Yeah.
Well, there were
no
tents and canopies and all that kind of stuff on Monday just
Blowing around.
blowing around, half down. People just left because they were snapped in half.
Yeah, all wadded up.
Did you guys have a camper? Or do you have tents or
Tents.
just tents? Really?
Yeah, you guys
wow.
are
Tents
real
every
man.
year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you guys are,
Yeah.
definitely sacked up
Yeah.
for that, man. Whew.
I woke up in the middle of I think it was, God, was it Friday night? I don't know. One of the nights. Hard to remember at this point.
No
But
doubt, a little fuzzy.
yeah, and I woke up just in the middle, like at, 4 in the morning. My wife was gone. And I was like, where the hell is she? Because it's pouring down rain. And I feel over to her side of the mattress, and it's just soaking wet. All this rain had just leaked into our tent, and my side hadn't gotten to me yet. So I got out and went and looked for her. She was sleeping in the car.
Hell yeah.
And
Nice and dry.
yeah, and then my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were working it, and they were camping near us, and they had to sleep in their car the whole time because their tent got totally leaked through, and it was just a mess.
Yeah.
But we stayed for the whole time.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Hey, that's something to be said.
That is, that is for sure.
Yeah, Oklahoma Memorial Day weekend outdoor concert. I'm not sure that it kind of goes together like, bologna and whipped cream, but
Yeah.
hey, it worked.
Yeah.
People had a blast. We had a blast. So
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it was. By Sunday we were completely soaked, but seeing the winery dogs made it all worth
yeah,
it.
Wine
That
Dogs.
works
That's
out.
Jason from. He used to be with Corrosion Conformity. That drummer. He's that pedal I have up there he sold it to me. The,
Winery
the
Dogs?
double
That's,
pedal. Isn't that
That's Portnoy.
Mike Portnoy.
Mike
Oh,
Portnoy.
shit. Who am I thinking of? All right, scratch that. Can you edit that out?
I would have loved to seen. I love Portnoy. That would have been all. Well, I love that band. That would have been
Yeah.
great to see them.
Oh,
That
it
was.
was insane.
They were on my list, but they were just recording that week,
Yeah.
that weekend, or that week before, and then they flew out
I
just to
know,
do
yeah.
that. So
Yeah, that was insane. That was probably one of the best live bands I've seen ever, and I've seen a lot. So, yeah,
Was this your second year?
Yeah, second year at Rocklahoma.
Yeah.
You played last year, right?
yeah,
Yeah, last year we played second. We played right after Benny's Little Weasel because they kicked it all off, and then we played second. Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't nearly the crowd that it was this year. We were,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
we were
This year was,
extremely happy with the slot we got.
yeah,
So,
yeah. They did this
A little
right.
bit of a different feel after We the Ghost. They're a little more rock,
Yeah.
and we're a
Yeah.
little more metal. So, but I
Yeah.
think we kind of kept the party going, or at least I'd like to say we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. It was good. A little bit of this, a little bit of that type of a thing. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
had a
that-
good mix.
I think that worked out really well for us. So
right on.
Well, if for someone that hasn't heard your music, how would you describe it?
Wow.
Don't you hate those questions?
Those are-
I
But
just
we
didn't see it
gotta
coming.
ask.
that was a rough one, man. Oh,
Well, that's a good thing because I've listened to your album and you can say it's metal, but you can't really.
I was going to say,
It
it sounds
sounds
a
like
lot like
a bunch of different
Severmind.
stuff.
That's really about the only thing you can say. There's so many different influences from, Black Label Society to
Yeah.
death metal to, I'm a huge Rush fan, Tool fan, but I love jazz, so a little bit of that's thrown in there. I don't think there's really one little place you could put it.
well, and I think the four of us have. Obviously, you have to have common interests because you got to have common ground or
Mhm.
things just don't work. But
Yeah.
it's also good to have diversity outside of that, and we definitely have some backgrounds that are different and some influences that are different. So I think overall, though, I think Derek kind of nailed it. We definitely have the basic kind of rawness of it. There's some old school at play, for sure, and definitely some Black Label Societies in there. But I hear stuff I listened to a song like Scraper, and I think there's a little bit of Alice in Chains in there, and then I hear a song when we do like Dying Dream or even Imminent Misfortune. I think about there's some new stuff like an Avenged Sevenfold in there, and so I think we're kind of all over the place a little bit, but the core of it is definitely just a little bit of some old school metal, and if you go back, I just mentioned the other night at practice, I was there's definitely some jazz kind of type stuff in there, especially on the drums, where we were doing
So Truth Be Told.
Truth Be Told, and that whole drum.
Up.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't even realize we've been playing that song for years, and I was listening to his drum beat a lot closer, and I was like, that's just like a complete whole jazz breakdown, and I didn't even catch that because I was so consumed with what I was doing. But so I think we're all over the place, but center, we're metal. It's a little bit old school, but then we try to decorate the whole thing with all of our little influences on top of it.
But that is one of the conversations that we have during rehearsal. Is usually, someone will say, "Well, I don't think that sounds like it goes there," and we'll kind of look at each other and go, "Well, who the hell is going to tell us otherwise? This is our monkey. We're gonna train it." So we just take off whatever sounds right. If we run through it 15 times and it never jives, then we kind of shit can the idea and go on.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah, there was even a couple songs where the vocals reminded me of Caius.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Heath would probably like that.
I love that.
He would like that.
I'll have
for
to make
sure.
sure he's
Yeah.
listening to what we play.
I mean, the music obviously didn't sound like Caius, but just the vocals kind of gave it that feel. Like a few times.
Right.
Wow.
Right on.
Yeah, yeah, definitely so. I mean, and that's another thing too to mention, is that there's some, just even like like what I mentioned, the whole. I thought Heath has a couple like Alice in Chains type vocal parts. I don't necessarily think the music necessarily sounds like it, but we're just kind of
Like melodies and that kind of thing.
yeah, just kind of where the harmony
that's
parts
those
and where it
harmony
ends
parts
up.
that I keep hearing, and I've never been
Yeah.
able to do it. But now they screwed up and gave me a mic, so it's like
That's
I'm gonna let loose on what I've been hearing all this time.
Yeah.
And when I got the nod from them, they were like, "Hey, that doesn't sound too bad." So
Nice.
That's definitely one thing we've tried to, it's as far as just executing our music and playing our individual instruments and make sure we play the song correctly. That the one thing we tried to work on is, I mean, we can add production obviously with lights and our logo and our little boxes we stand up on and all that. But one of the things we've tried to do is work in the background vocals and we're trying to get the harmonies in place, and we've each
more layers.
Yeah, more layers live without relying on tracks or boxes or harmonizing boxes and all that, or whatever it is. We're trying to just organically do whatever we've recorded, and I think that's kind of one thing we've gotten a whole lot better at. We've each kind of got our little niche vocally that we can put the harmony on Heath's vocals and add to it, and I think it's definitely improved our live show as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So, because the first time, I know when I first joined the band, there might have been a couple barks that one of us did in the background, but there was like no background vocals.
Really?
It was all Heath, and it was all
Yeah.
which was great. But that's but part of growing is you need to
Yeah, it just got
expand
bigger,
that
and
sound.
we didn't ever try to stifle it. It was just let's
That's cool.
do what works, and that's what practice is for. If we fall on our
Yeah.
faces, we laugh at each other, and make fun of each other, and then when it
back
comes
up.
to the live show, it sounds like we rehearsed, which is what we've been doing. So.
Cool. Yeah.
Is that the first time you've done any vocals, or have you done it in the past?
I mean, I sang back in '86 with a band I was with, but I was a young man.
I sang in the shower. And
Yeah, Peter Brady style.
Oh man, cracking voice. Yeah. Yes.
Well, you guys mentioned Asylum. Was that your first band, or were you guys in bands before that?
That was my first.
That was mine too.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally one of those things where we
Miss Davis's history class. I met him. And
yep, we were walking home from school together. Probably turned around from where I'm at, but it was back over there by Memorial High School. We were walking home in the culverts.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just and we started talking about.
Yeah, I just got a drum set. Oh, really? I just been playing guitar
Yeah,
for a little while.
you
We got to
know.
get together and jam.
No,
I know a
yeah.
singer.
And then it turns out, he lives just in the neighborhood across the street from mine, and so really it was just, once we started that, then it became kind of one of those deals where, when your other kids they're starting to go out and party and do stuff, and not that we didn't do some of that, but I mean, our weekends really started to center around Friday and Saturday night. We were at his house.
Yeah. My parents would bail.
Hammering.
They didn't want to listen to it.
We were just, brutally chopping up a bunch of songs, and writing our own, and just basically, earning our
Highway
stripes.
Star and some Steppenwolf, and we did all kinds of stuff. But one thing I will say that I've always said to any kid that's just starting out who's asked, because I've been approached before, what do you, I want to play the drums or I want to play the guitar, go play with someone else and force yourself into that dynamic where you are sink or swim, and you'll be surprised at how good you become after a short while versus sitting there looking at a book or playing along with. I stole my sister's Zeppelin albums, and that was Livin', Lovin', Made and Heartbreaker.
Yeah.
I played those until the heads broke. I mean, I couldn't. And then, I was a big fan of Rush. 2112 is what made me say, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm still not there, but I've been
no,
steadily working towards, getting better.
Yeah.
And the only way you do that is that whole dynamic of being in a room with someone else and forcing yourself to go, I'm not going to let them down, and they're looking at you going, I'm not going to let you down, and everybody just supports, hey, we made it through a song. Hey, kick ass.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
May not have ended at the same time, but we made it.
Yeah, you just got to do it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that you learn a lot by, looking at the other guy and playing off of this and that and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I taught the drums for a short while, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there were 15-year-olds that were coming in there were teaching me things. And I was
Really?
like, do that beat again. That was cool. So, I mean, you can always learn something from somebody else whenever you're in there. But if you're just playing I don't want to say playing with yourself. If you're just playing by yourself,
Right.
it's a whole lot longer process, and it's just not as rewarding and fulfilling as it is to have that 4-man or 5-man unit.
Yeah, that finished thing. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely built camaraderie, and I think that was, one of the things that kind of, and we don't have poker night, we got music, you know what I'm saying? So there's no.
This is our guy time,
Right.
Yeah.
This is
That's a
definitely
necessary. It's a creative outlet that
So-
you just got to have somewhere. So.
Yeah, definitely. I understand. I've been in that same situation. So, and it's it's funny you say we don't have poker night, and that's kind of the same. Me and him, we were in our bedrooms, analyzing Megadeth and Metallica artwork, CD sleeves, and I mean, I'm just making the point of that's cool, because a lot of people are out, partying or watching sports, and the metal got you through.
Yeah, well, it's a hell of a lot more
Exactly,
cost effective too. I mean,
Yeah.
when you hang out at the house and listen to a CD I've already bought 500 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Till I know-
return gets pretty good there
Every-
at that point. Well, and that's just that. Yeah, to that point. I mean, I can remember even when once we got into that routine, even when we didn't practice and stuff growing up. I know that. I mean, I didn't have a car. I didn't get my own car till, I was, well, I don't know, 19, 20. I mean, I didn't have a car, so I just, I would sit there and play along to. Ride the Lightning, that record,
Yes.
just over and over again, or what I knew of it, or even Master of Puppets.
Yeah, I was going to say when Master of Puppets came out, that's all I listened to for probably a year and a half solid.
I must have
think it
played-
came out of my tape deck, and I say that it wasn't a CD player, it was
Right.
a tape deck.
I must have wore out, Welcome Home Sanitarium, just over and over,
Yeah.
But that's
And
it's good,
7th grade, Black Sabbath, Mob Rules, that's what changed everything for me. That's when
Really?
I was like,
Yeah,
I think
it's a
this
great
is
record,
the stuff. And
Mhm.
then it became progressively, Metallica, then Slayer, then Cannibal Corpse,
Yeah.
Malevolent Creation. I mean, it was, we
He
went
had-
way off the deep end, and then
he
kinda
had the
reeled it back
disease
in.
then.
Yeah.
Now, like he said that Mob Rules and Rush and all that. For you, who are your guys?
My number one guy always will be Randy Rhoads.
Yeah.
Just top. That's just where I start at, and then really it kind of falls. I got to put Jimi Hendrix in there too, because that was kind of right at the same time I kind of figured out And I know that's like two totally different types of guitar players, but
Yeah.
I
But
just
that's what's cool.
Yeah,
But
no, it
yeah,
totally makes sense.
they were totally, you can probably dump a whole bunch of guys in there, like Richie Blackmore, that were in that influence, but then you kind of obviously Zakk Wylde. I mean, you can't give a guitar list without Zakk Wylde,
no kidding.
and then, but if I jump into, you can jump into modern day stuff too, and there's guys that I love what they do, even though they're like way younger than I am. But I mean, I think about like Jim Root from, I love Slipknot and the stuff he did with Stone Sour, and then, like Avenged Sevenfold, Sinister Gates, and you could put, hell, I even like the guys from Black Veil Brides. I mean, those guys are good too, man.
Dude, I have no problem. People love to hate on that band, but I have no problem with them. I think they rock.
I do too. I think they're really good. I mean,
Well, there's certain songs that you don't want to let people, but they're still good songwriters. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You can actually be a mediocre guitarist, but write well, where it's enjoyable to listen to, and it's just a whole different. I mean, it's not as cool as listening to like Zakk Wylde or someone that's just over the top, meticulous, technical, super triple deluxe badass. But when you come down to it, there's certain songs that you can listen to that are outside the metal genre, even that it's just good music.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think that's one thing that Derek and I kind of share is we both are, we've kind of veered off, not together, but but individually we'd kind of veered off down the jazz path, and we
strung out on it, man.
we had a pretty long conversation on our ride out to Rocklahoma this year. We rode together, and he was telling me about all the jazz stuff he listens to, and I've been telling him about all the gypsy jazz, the Django Reinhardt, and all that stuff I've been listening to, and we're kind of getting into this. I mean, it doesn't change our love of metal and our influence there, but it kind of gives us this other perspective of music that we.
Oh yeah, man. Because there's parts in Severmind tunes that are basically, I don't know how else to say it, ripped off from Steely Dan. I mean, that's my top three are Rush, Tool, and Steely Dan, and I mean that's a weird mix, but Steely Dan's always been that one. I can listen to every single song they've got off every CD, or album, as it were, when I started out, and never want to fast forward, never want to skip it. Just listen to the whole thing in its entirety.
Well, and I think too that's kind of, we do have these other little things that come into play, and I definitely think if you listen to some of the chord progressions that we have on some of our songs, and I'll speak for Dying Dream because that's one of the ones that I brought in, was especially like the intro and the outro part. That's I played a piano part on the background, and that whole chord progression is very classical, and that's. Yeah. But in the end, I wasn't really. I mean, in the end, I wanted to make it. I wanted to pound it out, but I wanted it to have the theatric aspect of the classical music.
Yeah, and that actually forced Heath, who had been writing all our riffs for 6 years, to look at Stacy's fingers and go, "What the hell are you doing right there? I don't even," So it made him step out of his comfort zone, which allows us to continue to expand. And we don't even know what direction we're going. I just know if we're playing it, it sounds like us. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. Why not? Yeah. Well, and it opens up new doors, and it helps your your ability and your skill and all that.
Right.
That's awesome.
That's when because I know that definitely when. Like I started listening to that jazz stuff, and even like I said, like that Django Reinhardt stuff. Those guys are so incredible. I mean, anytime I think I might be kind of good, I go and listen to that stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, those guys are really good, and they're doing it with no distortion. It's just all pure, acoustic, clear, and I'm like, oh, I got such a long ways to go.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Wasn't Randy? I mean, I'm not a guitarist, but wasn't Randy Rhoads trying?
Oh yeah,
classical music.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, D was one of my favorite. That classical acoustic piece. It's just absolutely beautiful.
And I think that's what he would have done now if he was still alive.
There was
he would went more into that.
Well, it's just like Zakk Wylde. I mean the Black Label Society has 3 or 4 songs that shouldn't be on a metal album, really, every album. But those are some of my favorite pieces.
Oh yeah,
that's where he's. Yeah, I've always said that. That's where he shines if it's him at a piano.
But he's so clean.
So
But some of that stuff like Crazy Horse and Overlord. I mean, when that stuff kicks in, I could kick anybody's ass
Yeah.
listening to that in headphones.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who it is. I'm not taking that as a personal challenge.
But yeah, like Book of Shadows was like, you know, his just,
Yeah.
One of my I love that. You know, that's awesome.
we both think that's like the best thing he's ever done ever. You know,
I would agree. And his vocal harmonies were fantastic
yeah.
on that.
Yeah, I know. And just like you said, he's so clean. Like even when he's doing acoustic stuff, it's just like.
Well, especially
I've
when you
never-
strip it away, because that's the deal.
You know?
If you put vocal effects on something, or you've got, you know, I don't want to say click tracks, but you've got effects or loops or whatever, and I'm not down on anybody that uses that, but when you strip it away to nothing except for the acoustic sound of something, and all your flaws are under the microscope, if there's not that many flaws there, then you're damn good at what you do.
Yeah. No kidding. Agreed. And you know, it also back to the songwriting thing, you know, and having all kinds of stuff and bells and whistles. You know, I've heard it said, and I kind of agree. If whatever you've got, if you can play it on an acoustic and it sounds good still, then you know, you got a good song, and that's like a mark of a good songwriter.
Right.
You know.
That was like we did
Yeah.
Throwing Stones on Channel 8, that early morning show before the CD release, and Sunshine from Axis had asked us to figure out which song we wanted to do acoustically, and we all looked at each other like, what are we going to do now? And Throwing Stones was the obvious. It's actually got a real jazzy kind of groove to it. But when it came out, now people are asking us, well, why don't you do that acoustically anymore? Because they want to hear that version of it. So that's kind of
that's awesome.
That was it was a really cool feather in our cap to say we did it. I mean, you know, we made it work.
It was a cool experience, and I think you're right to your point. I think that if you can, if it sounds good acoustically, and if you can just sit down and I mean, obviously it helps if you're the singer and you can sit down and sing it and play it. You know, I mean, I think that just says a lot about the song, and really, I know a lot of the riffs that that I work on. I think that Heath works on. You can definitely take those to the acoustic and just get the feel out of them, anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's if you can get to that point, I think you got something to work with.
Yeah, that's a sign for sure.
Well, I want to tell you on a totally random note. It's not really random when you mention it, but when I was in high school in the early '90s, I thought Bunnies of Doom was like the greatest band name I'd ever heard.
Yes.
It was definitely a cool name for sure.
Yeah. It made you want to go see them.
Yeah.
What the hell's going to happen at that show?
We saw you guys at the Eclipse. I can't remember when, because I went to the Eclipse like a million times.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing you guys because the name.
Right. And I remember having the CD awesome. Too, one that pink with the little little bunnies on it.
Yeah. Okay. I can't remember the name of the CD, but Getting Worse by the Minute. That's what it was.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was complete insanity. That was all about. Well, I mean, I don't even know. That was just about craziness and about how crazy can we possibly play, and it was funk, punk, metal, a little bit of Van Halen 1 somewhere mixed in there, which is weird to think about, but we all liked that, and then it was just kind of weird how that fell out. But
sweet.
I've listened to it now, and I was kind of like,
Hey, we all do that, It's like going back through old pictures or something.
Right. And I'm speaking just about my parts. I'm not talking about. I mean, there was other good work on that.
Nice little caveat.
But I'm talking about myself. I hear things. I'm like,
Terry, Dave, you listening?
Yes.
Only about me. So.
Right on.
What were you doing in the '90s? Music-wise?
Caustic Descent was a death metal band that I was in with Heath as our vocalist. If you ever hear those guttural growls that he does, we did a lot of playing and a lot of partying back then. That was it was about as, like I said, it was heavy. I mean, it was as heavy as I ever want to be, and I don't want to be that heavy anymore because that's too much work. Too little recognition. There was not much payoff. You're working your ass off 5 days a week to get up to speed. You go to play a show and there's 15 people there. It's like death metal in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They just don't. They don't mesh well. But we had a good time. I learned a lot from those guys.
Well, and you know what's funny too is, I mean, you know, we talked about Derek and I having this past, you know, from really growing up together and playing in our first band together and all this stuff. But then Heath and I actually have known each other since probably 1990 as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Just you know, kind of a separate storyline from him and Heath. I mean, I didn't really even realize that there was a connection there,
Right.
for the longest time. But Heath and I, we hung out. We had a period of time there where we ran in the same circle. I knew he played guitar and sang and all that stuff, but I didn't really. He knew I did the same. I remember him coming to Bunnies shows and all that stuff, but we never really. I mean, we took some road trip. We drove to Deep Ellum to see Nirvana right after they like started to get big, and stood outside forever, and then they were sold out. I mean, just things like that. So we had this little history, and then we had this gap of like not seeing each other for 10 or 15 years.
Wow.
And then this thing kind of came into place. So.
Yeah, well, it's just like James and I, the guitarist that Stacy replaced. He and I were in a band called Gut Wrench with Terry, who was the bass player for Bunnies of Doom. So
Asylum.
it all runs.
All comes around.
I'm sorry,
Asylum.
Asylum.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I've misspoken twice. Apparently, senility is setting in. But Terry was in Gut Wrench with us with Steve Ray from Pitbulls on Crack, who we've known forever. And when James and I got back together and decided we were going to do something else, we went to a Corrosion of Conformity show at the Canes, and I ran into Heath, and I told James that's who we ought to get to sing for us.
Right
so
on.
that's where it all kind of started.
Nice.
And then it went its course for 6 years, and then, like I said, James bowed out, Stace came on board, and never looking back.
Cool. Right on. Which Corrosion of Conformity show Canes? Was it the one with Stanton Moore playing drums?
No, it was Jason. It was the guy I bought that pedal from. That's who I was thinking of earlier with the winery dogs.
Wow.
But
right
I'm not sure.
Isn't it
Jason
90s?
Patterson, I think is his name.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's a pretty good story, actually. You might mention that, how you got that.
Oh, well, yeah, he came over here one day with a friend of mine, and she brought him by, and he came up and listened to us play, and he said, man, you're a pretty good drummer, but your kicks suck. And I was like, whoa, dude, man, you're in my house. He said, no. He said, your playing's fine. It's just you've got this flat tire, pekka.
Yeah.
He said, what you need is one kick. And I said, well, I don't have an extra $600 to throw at the wall to see if I like playing a double pedal. And he said, well, I'm endorsed. I've got 2 or 3 laying around at the house. I'll send you one. I said, okay.
Wow.
So I gave him my address. He left. I was thinking, well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Probably never see you again. Lo and behold, a couple weeks
Really?
later, I got a package in the mail. And then he sent me, a follow-up email and said, what'd you think? I said, it's kind of like riding somebody else's bicycle, but I'm getting used to it now.
Yeah.
And he said, there you go.
That's cool.
Yeah. And he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, he sat down on my kit and played it, and that's when I said, I think I'm just going to quit. You should play the drums for these guys. Because he's badass,
Wow.
I'm a self-taught drummer. I've never taken a lesson in my life. So
Really?
everything seriously, I learned everything playing with people or playing 2 albums.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, that's the best teacher sometimes.
well, I guarantee you there's nobody that sounds more like me than me.
There you go.
I'm the best at playing like me. I may not be the best at much, but I'm the
Dude,
best
you
at
should
playing
hear the
like
way I
me.
cover my stuff.
Yes.
That's hilarious, man.
Nice. Right on.
I wanted to ask you. I assume it's you because you mentioned artwork earlier, and I think I saw on Facebook you have an artwork page, right?
Yes, yeah.
So do you do all the artwork for Severmind?
Yeah,
It's all
I love the artwork process. Is one of my favorite
because I
parts.
love it. I mean, it's all great stuff.
Well, yeah, it was hurried. The first CD cover was, hey, by the way, we got a month. You need to get this done. And I don't paint quickly. I can draw quickly, but paint is not me.
Mm-hmm.
So this last CD cover, we started recording in August, and it was the next September when we had the release.
Really?
I had plenty of time
Yeah.
to sit and look at it and paint it. But yeah, all of the artwork is a joy to me. That's truly the one thing where I can do my own thing and not have to. I mean, obviously I consult with the guys,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, I'm not just going to go out there and go, here's the cover, and I don't give a damn what you say. But you know, yeah, we have some ideas and some collaboration. But yeah, art is my first love. I've been doing that since I was probably 2 or 3 years old.
Wow.
I was always drawing or painting or doing something. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a sweet logo because it's one of those ones where you know what it is, and like if it was shrunk down, like if there's a bunch of band logos, you could tell that it's Severmind
Right.
from way, or if you just saw it real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's the same, just like all the classic logos that
Right.
everybody notices.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. It's a smart thing. for
And when
sure.
you work on something like that and it starts doing itself
yeah,
without you thinking about it,
Yeah.
and you're like, that has to be this
Yeah.
way, then you know you're on the right track. Yeah. So.
sweet.
That was kind of one of the cool things whenever I started playing with these guys was, you know, Derek and I obviously going to high school together. We
Yeah,
had art
art
classes
class.
together and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, I mean, and I obviously knew, you know, that about his art talent and everything, and just, you know, jamming in his room when we were kids and stuff. I'd seen a lot of that artwork, and then when I came back over here and started playing with Severmind, and then because he's got like his own art room attached to the
Yeah, it's
to
right
our
off
jam
the
room,
band.
you know. And so I, you know, would go in there and look at the artwork. You know, I saw a lot of pictures from whenever we were,
Right.
you know, we were kids and stuff that you'd done in high school. And that was really cool to see that stuff. You know,
It lasted 20 something
Yeah.
plus.
X number of
30
years
something.
later. It was, I mean,
Nice.
it was a cool blast from the past. So
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you had to pick one, could you pick between art and drums?
ooh.
I don't know. I tell my daughter and my son that I love them more than art, music, and hockey combined. I think I could not live without art. I mean, that's one of those questions. If you were to lose your vision, your hearing,
Right.
I think
Ah,
I'd
yeah.
rather have my vision.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, that art thing is like, I can't help it. Like,
Yeah.
I sit down and if
You're always
there's
doing it.
paper and
Yeah.
pencil, that's all I needed when I was a kid. I mean,
Yeah.
it's, you know, a pad and a pen and big an imagination, right? You know?
Yes.
And I've got upstairs, seriously, pads of drawings from I was 15, 16, 17. And you can tell when I started listening to Black Sabbath, and then there's pictures of Slayer and,
Yeah.
you know, demons and skulls, and I love that stuff. I mean,
That's awesome.
that's horrible, but yeah, I like drawing dark art. It's hard for me to draw pretty things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Right.
the art's a big part of my life.
Cool. Right on.
Well, you've got 2 big shows coming up this weekend, right? If you're listening
Yeah.
to this week.
Yeah, hopefully you are. Friday night at the Shady Tree with Mine Enemies Fall and our good friends Enslaved by Fear, and that's a show we're looking forward to. That'll be our first show with Mine Enemies Fall.
Our first show at the Shady Tree. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we played there plenty when it was that other place, but now that
Right.
it is, it's a beautiful place if you haven't been in there.
Yeah.
In fact, the tree that's on the wall, I painted that.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, and the quote
Oh, wow.
that's
I
on
saw
the
the
wall.
pictures, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Like hand painted it on the wall.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
16 feet high by 16 feet wide,
Damn.
and it is it's as much like her logo as I could make it
Yeah.
at that broad of an expanse.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
cool.
Saturday night is the Murdoch's birthday bash at the Shrine. It's us and Drek from Kansas City, Motor Train, Dirty
Dirty.
Crush, and Octave Jaw.
Cool.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's right.
So we're looking forward to that one too. This will be first time in a while we've had 2 shows back to back, and
Yeah.
we're looking to really
See how
do
bad
a
we're-
different set
We're
both
hurting
nights.
Saturday
Well,
night.
yeah.
So,
But again, it'll all be worth it.
Oh,
absolutely, man. It's gonna be fun. We're looking
Cool.
forward to
I
it.
remember when we were kids. I remember saying, someday somebody else will be moving our gear, and we'll just have to show up and play. No,
No, we're still moving our gear.
Yeah, we still carry our own stuff.
That other thing didn't happen, so
Yeah.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
it's all right
It's all
though.
good.
I wouldn't
mean,
live.
you-
I wouldn't have it any other way. Man.
Yeah, definitely. Right on.
Do you have any other shows lined up down the line?
Yeah, we got September
I can't remember the day.
26th.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
September. It's late September.
Yeah,
we'll
late
just say
September
that.
with Charlie from Searching for Santa. Yeah, he called us the other day and asked us to be on that show. So that's gonna be a cool.
Where's
one.
that at?
That's at the Shrine.
At the
as
Shrine,
well, I
too.
believe.
Okay.
Right on.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
we're trying to do more out of state, out of town
Yeah.
shows. But like I said, if you've got kids in karate, dance, soccer, football, baseball, basketball, it's hard to get together here, much less coordinate a out of town excursion.
Oh
So,
yeah. No doubt.
I definitely think for us the playing out of town thing is attractive though. I mean we want to. I mean
just broaden that footprint.
right. I mean
Mhm.
Tulsa is. I mean not playing at home, a home gig, a home game is always a good thing. But I think for us to get out and have more folks see us and hear us that never have heard us, that is a good thing. And I think that's one of the things. That's one of the great opportunities that the Thursday night Rocklahoma thing that Access Entertainment provides for us is that because I mean there are so many. I mean, we've gotten a lot more fans because of that.
Yeah.
For playing that deal 2 years in a row, that has been. I mean,
especially this year, it was quite a splash.
And it's not people that live here. It's people that live that come here from out of state and all that.
Yeah.
And to them, we along with all the other bands that night, not just us. I mean, everybody else is playing.
Yeah.
And these guys are out of Rocklahoma, and it's a big deal, and they come out and they see it, and then they send us that love back, and it's a cool thing. And I think I mean, let's face it. I mean, I know that we have people that come see us here and like us, and we love that and appreciate that. But I know they can only come see us so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and that's the other point of getting out and playing somewhere else is not oversaturated.
right. We don't want to. I mean, I don't want to ask for the same person's dollar 2 weeks in a row.
It's a lot easier to sell
in
tickets
town.
with some space between shows.
Yeah, it makes it more of an event, more of a special deal.
Right.
It's more fair to the people that like us not to say, we need your money this Friday, but we need your money the next Friday too.
Yeah.
It makes it so.
2 weeks from now, we're going to need it again.
Yeah, so it definitely, I think it's better overall, having this gap between in-town shows. So,
Nice.
but we are excited about doing the back-to-back deal because it's our first shows since Rocklahoma.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
and we want to christen the shady tree the right way.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
because
definitely.
we love Sunshine. I mean, seriously, we couldn't. So many thanks go to her for what she's done for us and Murdoch. So, both nights we want to. Play it and
Cool.
make sure it's as good as we can make it.
Yeah, for them,
definitely.
because they're the things those two folks have done for us is I couldn't express enough gratitude. So we definitely want to blow it out this weekend for them, and
For sure.
And like I said, this is 2 months since we've played last at Rocklahoma, so
We did do a little bit of right. We did a little bit.
So we've written a little bit of new music in between there, and then
We've got like 5 songs in the works right now.
So hopefully we'll
None of them are finished more than about 30 bars in. But
Nice. Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, the seeds are planted.
Yeah, is it sounding good? Is it interesting?
Yeah, and it's really cool because it's like nothing we've ever. I mean,
Really?
Yeah, I mean some of it's like "Gimme Six" is the new tune that we actually have finished. Is more of a party tune, anthem kind of a thing than anything we've ever done before. But that's what we set out to. Let's just let it fall out of the amps, and there it is.
Fall out of the amps.
We shined it up and made it the best we could, and
Cool.
we're still making changes because Sunday at rehearsal, yesterday, you had a new part for that.
right. Yeah,
So,
adding guitar
Little
harmonies and all
subtle
that,
nuances, little decorations here and there, something
Cool.
to spruce it up.
definitely.
Cool. Well, we can't wait to hear it.
Was there are you guys working towards something, or are you just doing it as it comes? I mean, you're not like, we want to put out an album next year or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd love to put out another CD.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of weird.
That's always
Right.
It's weird to say that. I mean, because we just had our September 19th was our CD release show, and in 2014, and here we are. It's July, and the next year, and we're already. I mean, we're thinking that's what we're. I mean, we're trying to move on. So
Yeah, because I can't tell you how many bands I've been in where you leave fully written, 110% finished songs unrecorded, and they are gone. I mean, all that work kind of goes out the window because I can't tell you how many songs I've written and played and had down to a polished sheen that just vanished into thin air. I couldn't tell you how they go or what they sound like. I would never recorded them. Not us personally, but other bands.
Mhm.
Right.
So
Yeah, and and let's just be honest. I mean, it's when you're working on new music, and for every musician, it's exciting.
yeah,
Yeah.
You're working
it's
on
like a
new
new
stuff.
relationship.
Yeah.
But, and I'm sure every band feels the same way. You're working on the new material, and you have this goal set of let's do the CD release thing. I mean it builds momentum, and it keeps it keeps the ball rolling and all that
Yeah.
kind of
Keeps
stuff.
it fresh,
Yeah,
exciting.
definitely.
Something. Hey, let's remember that thing. Yeah, let's go back to that. That was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've got these aspirations of out of town things and getting out and playing more, but we at the same time we definitely are we want to have the new material to support that, and we want the momentum of what we just released, but then we also want the momentum of, hey, in the future. I mean, if you stop moving, you die. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm
Yeah.
saying is. So we just want to keep going and keep
Yeah, we
going
don't
and
wanna
keep
be
going.
stagnant at all.
So, and
Right on. Well, cool.
What do you think the Tulsa music scene's in a good spot right now?
I think the Tulsa music scene is packed with incredible musicians. I think that it sucks that there's few places that you can go and showcase that,
Right.
and especially in our genre. I mean, there's some great bars and there's some great bands, but it's hard to marry those two together in a
yeah,
pattern that
Yeah.
kind of lends itself to a crowd coming out and a quote unquote scene, so to speak. I mean, there's awesome people. The fans are cool, and everybody I've ever dealt with has been so easy to deal with. It's not like a overbearing, not a whole lot of critique and not a whole lot of naysayers, but a lot of support and love, and it just is sad that there's not more of a plethora of venues to play. You just got to kind of go back to those same.
Yeah.
But it changes from place to place, and some of them last longer than others, and others we'd like to get into we've never played. So there's definitely some targets on the horizon that we'd like to hit locally, but
well, I was gonna say, and I do think like what you were saying, Derek, that there's a lot of talent that's here. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you can you can come out to any metal show here and see that, and you can see what's just the local bands that have gotten the opportunities at Rocklahoma. I mean, there's a lot of good bands, and there's a lot of good players, individually as well. And so I think that's out there. I wish there was more support for our original genre. I mean, it's I've been on both sides of the coin. Between doing the cover deal and the original deal, and I understand that the market and the money and where we're at right here is people go to pay to see the cover band and all that stuff, and it's I wish it was equal. Let's just say. I mean, there's just not. I wish we could get that flipped around to the original.
No.
And especially in our genre, I would imagine that if we played a more palatable, music for the masses type of a deal, that we would probably there would be more of that.
More success, but I don't want to.
But we don't want to do that necessarily. We just want to do whatever we do.
Exactly
So,
it.
and I think there's plenty of those fans there here in Tulsa. It's just, like you said, you got to marrying the venue and the music and the people, getting that whole marriage to work at the right time and all that. I think is kind of where the challenge that is out there.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a minute ago about what's this place going to be now, or what's it going to turn into.
Right.
It always seems, since I was a teenager, there's always one place that was the place to be, and then 8 months later it's gone, and then maybe another 12, 14 months down the line there's another place that's a place to be, and then that goes away.
And it comes in cycles.
Yeah,
just like anything, it's sometimes there's 8 bars to play, and then sometimes there's 2.
Yeah.
And then, you wait around, and then there's 8, and then there, so
Yeah.
it just kind of comes and goes. So.
And I know when I first joined Severmind and we started playing out, and it stressed me out, because I mean I knew we were trying to get in places, and we started to get in places, especially after having the big kickoff at playing the Canes, and that kind of gave us a little kickstart. And,
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, we were able to get in some places, and there was places to play, and then all of a sudden that,
just
you know, that
joined up.
funneled down to just like you said, a couple, and then the next thing you know, you're kind of stressing about that. God, there's no place to play, and what are we going to do? And then, you know, expands back out, and then there's some options, and you ride that for a little while, and then it funnels back down to just a couple. And
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to open back up. And
Yeah.
get out there, play some more shows locally, and
Nice.
play some different stages, different rooms,
Yeah.
different crowds. You know,
Yeah.
introduce yourself. It's kind of like not pigeonholing yourself into one little group of people.
Yeah, definitely.
We love having our friends come out, what we consider severheads. You know, those guys, the ones that are, you know, loyal to us, our shows, and come to everything. But it's nice to meet new people and go to a new place where you see new faces and kind of get that feedback from someone who's never seen it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Right on. Cool.
Well, you got anything else?
I think I'm good. Oh yeah, I did want to ask. Severmind. That's a cool play on words. Cool name. Who came up with that?
We kicked around so many ideas that it became a joke. In fact, we were Big D and the Skinnies for a short while. We've had every
Okay,
name.
you should have stayed that.
that was our problem. See that?
We'd be a little more marketable that way. But the word came out of Mind Sever. I still have lists upstairs of band names. Mind Sever was the one that came out. And then someone switched it and said, "What about Severmind?" And everybody looked and said,
Well,
"That's
bam.
That's it.
That's awesome.
We're done."
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. Right on. Well, July 18th, the Shrine.
Right.
And
July. Yeah.
Sep-
July 17th.
17th.
Yeah, you
Okay,
threw me
cool.
off. Yeah.
Cool. Right
17th
on.
is Shady Tree. July 18th is Shrine.
Gotcha. We'll be there. Be
Awesome,
there.
man.
Cool. Well, thanks guys for doing this.
Hey,
We really
oh,
appreciate
Hey,
it.
thanks for
Come
doing
over
this
and
with
give
us, man. This was awesome.
Yeah,
This was
no doubt.
fun. Absolutely.
We could talk about ourselves for days. Sounds horrible.